this is the issue right now with talent in firms, is that they do have to have a collaborative process and understand that they have to learn from one another.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They have to learn from one and respect one another. And I think there has to be a value, understanding, and a respect. And value is very important. Not only that the owner or the leaders, they have to, value the young folks. The young folks actually have to assign some value of what they're receiving.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to have ownership. I want to do this. I want to have this high salary. I want to do this. Hey, I'm like, look, value. Nobody's saying you should be underpaid.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're saying it. And nobody's saying that you should be in a work environment that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But also, that goes along with that is place value on learning your craft. I always tell a lot of people all the time. I said Michael Jackson was at Motown for like 10 years before he moonwalked. Because he
took a minute.
Yeah, it took a minute, right? He was with the Jackson 5 doing the robot. Joe Jackson was beating him up and all this other stuff.
But he got there despite.
Yeah, right. But the thing about it is, he learned his craft.
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson was teaching him how to do voiceovers and this, that, and the other.
Right.
So young people have to place value. Both parties have to place value on one another.
Yeah.
To collaborate in order to do this. And finally, I'll say this, which is firms have to come up with, and I think there's a lot of folks that are attempting this, but this is the magic pill. Firms have to come up with a residency system to know that those first 3 years, 3 to 5 years, you are grooming someone. You are, placing resources into someone.
You're investing. Yeah.
You're investing. That's the word. Yes, you are investing to someone. And the young person or career change needs to understand that too. You're investing 5 years. And the key to, yes, it's high risk sometimes because, that person may jump or something like that, but not if that person feels like they are part of the firm. And here's the stat. It's not a key. I don't have a hard stat on this, but the industry is showing every firm wants a 5 to 7 year person that's like 30 with experience. It's the same resume. It's the same call for to talent.
It's wild.
The reason why that doesn't, the reason why that doesn't exist, right, is because they're staying where they are.
Yeah.
They're staying where they are. So you have to pick up that person that just, got out of a program and invest in them, Kelsey, like you said. And then when they feel like they're connected, they'll stay.
Yeah.
It's so hard, right? Because the incentive structure for especially larger firms that maybe have older advisors is they'd rather go attract the advisor who's got $500 million of assets under management because it's cash flow.
Yeah.
It's cash flow. And that's a long-term investment in their mind, right? And is there enough pain at a firm like that to say, I want to make this investment? I would say too, if they do, we're kind of circling on this. You have to build, like when we talk about culture, it means what are you putting out in the world as a value proposition in a clear, articulate way as a firm? That's the only way you're actually going to attract the talent that you aspire to have in that demographic that everybody's looking for. Are you a firm that actually talks the talk, walks the walk in terms of this value proposition we're here talking about of human-centric advice? Because if that's not deeply embedded in your brand identity, what the legacy advisors talk about, how you're selling to the market, you're not going to attract that talent. And then you're certainly not going to keep that talent, right? Because you've got the people training those people who are ultimately still talking about how to sell investments and, there's a disconnect. So you can want the person, but it really has to bleed through every aspect of the company to actually pull it off, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you do that? How do you bring it to life? Which is something we talk a lot about. There's a lot of like similar branding and similar messaging within the industry in terms of how an RIA positions their services, like comprehensive, fiduciary. There's a lot of like buzzwords almost that I think if you read it, you're like, oh, that sounds great. But how do you actually like live it within the firm? How do we do things here? And so I wonder if you have any tips on, because you are kind of doing this in your practice, any tips for firms who are trying to kind of make this shift with their culture and the way that they run their business. What would you recommend to them as a starting point?
Yes, believing number one.
Actually being real.
Yeah. I mean, it is a thing.
It's not just a tactic.
It's not just a tactic. I think that having that belief system is number one.